creativity is 90% sweat and 10% creative, meaning you have to work hard.
With AI, in my mind, we have two ways. Or we're going to be more creative because the computer is doing all the bureaucracy and all the stuff that we don't want to do, or everything will be the same because we have the same instructions or we have the same tools. Fala galera, sejam muito bem-vindos ao Como Você Marca, o podcast que fala sobre como as marcas criam experiências em seus negócios. Eu sou Rodrigo Vitor, fundador e CEO da Fito, a agência de eventos das melhores empresas do Brasil. E hoje nosso episódio vai ser um pouco diferente. Temos um convidado muito especial que já viajou o mundo inteiro e aí vai ser tudo em inglês. Então você que está nos ouvindo em qualquer plataforma que não tem vídeo, recomendo que vá até o YouTube, caso você não fale inglês, e assista por lá. Então lá teremos as legendas e tudo mais, então dá para você aproveitar, praticar o inglês, escutar um pouco e ver as legendas. E a partir de agora, então, eu vou passando aqui para o inglês e seguir com esse papo que vocês vão achar incrível. So, hey everyone, welcome to How You Brand, the podcast about how brands create powerful experience in their business. I'm Rodrigo Vitor, founder and CEO of Fito, the events agency of the best companies in Brazil. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how design can shape perceptions, tell stories, and help create more human futures. Joining me today is John Sahs, founder of Imagine a Cool Future, former design director for Nissan in Latin America, and globally recognized name for leading projects that bring together aesthetics, purpose, and experience. John, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Rodrigo. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to share my experience in design and how it had really affected my life for the last 32 years. So I'm very excited to be here with you and also with your audience to be able to share my experience because I think design is kind of in all of us.
That's true. That's true. I'm very honored to have you here. So I have some really good questions.
Very good.
I want
questions.
to extract everything from your mind and say, okay, that's how design works. So John, first of all, how do you define design?
Very good question. We take the real definition design that's kind of considered by everyone is that it's a way of providing solutions for given problems, whether it's physical, graphical, whether it's also from, say, even music's form. For me, my journey with design has been quite a long one. And for me, design is more like an art to bring meaning to the form, giving purpose to the form. I've always been a very customer-centric type of designer. So it's always important for me to use design as a way to provide solutions for the customer. And sometimes I consider myself as the customer when I'm designing. Yes. And in the end, design is not just about how it looks. It's about how we feel, how we have the sense that design can bring a certain solution to our life. And that is what I think. Design for me is almost like a way of life. It's almost becoming like a Zen priest for design. And it took me 32 years to go through various stages of design. I believe that design is a way of life, and it is an art form in which we try to provide intentions in the form that we design for the customers.
Perfect. I'm just enjoying.
Very philosophical, right?
Yes, but that was the purpose of the question. Let's see how his mind works.
Yes.
And John, so providing solutions, it's art. It's the art to give meaning to the form, and it's about how we feel. So, do you believe design should always have a purpose, a sense of utility, or it can just be art?
Yes. Well, art is very interesting because I really love art when I was a kid. And art for me was more about self-expression, self-interpretation of the world, of the experience. Whereas I think design is a little bit more different in the sense that, again, is trying to give purpose to whatever the situation is. And as well, design is a kind of, I would say, perception of society, where there are things in which we need to interact, our cars, our watch, our tables, our chairs. And design allows us to interpret those needs into function. So for me, yes, to answer your question, clearly, design needs to have purpose and have some sort of utility for the user. Otherwise, it becomes more superficial.
That's
and
true.
it doesn't have a long-lasting relationship with the customer. So I always believe when you have good design that has purpose and utility, you'll find that balance, right, between function and form. And I'm always in my design, I try to find the balance between function and form.
Perfect. Amazing. And I'm just thinking about, I'm going to change a little bit.
Go
I
for
like
it.
to do that. So
Please.
I really like Eric Shibata from CIMED. I don't know if you know him. He's a guy from branding. He just changed all the way CIMED works and pharmaceutical industry, and he did something very amazing there.
Interesting.
And he says something really close about branding. So that branding needs to be useful. So how do you connect branding with design during all those years in Nissan and other companies?
Yes. Branding is a word which came later in my experience, right? Because when you start out as a young designer, your whole goal is to design a beautiful shape, the shape of the future. You don't consider branding or anything else like this in the beginning of your career. Later on in my career, working in a corporate world, you start to understand branding and the value of branding and how the branding is what the customer perceive of that company. And design is kind of the conduit, the bridge between the company's values, its brand, and the customer perception of that.
Nice.
Right? So I really do understand this person you mentioned, that branding has to have a purpose. And design is a method in which you can reveal your brand values to the customers.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really believe so. And when we have branding, we're talking about values of the company that connects with the customer. And it's always a challenge for us to be able to communicate that through communication, through design, for example. And it's always a challenge for us designers to be able to capture that in design. Can you imagine? You take words and you try to create shapes from the words, and those shapes should connect to the customers, or the function should connect to the customer needs. So as a designer, it's always a challenge. So branding, yes, I completely agree. It has to have purpose.
Perfect. That's a very nice way to see how it connects.
Yeah, it's a bridge. It's a bridge.
Yes, amazing.
It's a conduit. It connects. Design is a tool which you can use it to connect the customers to the brand.
Perfect. And we can use the example of Nissan, because, we can do some branding of Nissan, a lot of initiatives that we want to do, but the design of the cars is how we connect to the customers. So how do you feel about, the cars are maybe they are more important than the brand? Because when you worked with a lot of cars, and I really want to ask you about the new Nissan Kicks, do you think the design of the car, it can be more important than the branding of the company? How does that works?
I don't know if the car becomes more important than the company. The car is, for me, the product and the service for the customer.
Yeah.
So when we're designing the car, we're constantly reminded about our company. What are the important pillars of our company?
Perfect.
I can talk about Nissan because I've been there for like 25 years. So I can tell you, especially here in Latin America, I was given the responsibility to promote design to the region. Because when I came here, say 7 years ago, what I heard was that the customers didn't know that Nissan was a Japanese car company.
Really?
They thought it was Chinese.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know that as well. I was very shocked. And so I made it an effort to work with the Nissan team, the communication team, the marketing team, the agencies, and how we can express our brand values, our pillars. And if
Through the design.
through design, yes.
Nice.
So one of the pillars, which is a Japanese philosophy, it's called omotenashi.
Yeah.
And what that means is to deliver an experience beyond the customer's expectation.
It's the over delivery.
Right. I lived in Japan for, I would say, almost 20 years. Yeah, when I was young.
Nice.
I was there when I was 25, lived there for 20 years. So in some ways, I became Japanese. And omotenashi, it came from the tea ceremony events when we started, I believe, in the Edo period. And it's to take something so simple and making it into an experience that goes beyond just drinking the tea, but it goes through this full sensory. So Motesando, sorry, it's the name of the street in Japan. Omotenashi is that one pillar that Nissan has incorporated into its brand to deliver this pillar in every touch point of to the customers.
Perfect.
The second one is cool Japanese. And cool Japanese is defined by what we consider as fresh, as dynamic, as energetic. And we created, I would say, an expression that reflects what our design, Nissan design was. And that is emotional geometry design. So it's very clear when you hear that emotion, geometry design. Okay, so it's shapes that express certain emotions, right? And the third pillar is innovation. How we can bring innovation to our customers that will deliver an experience beyond their expectations. So those three pillars are always interacting with each other. And I think design, especially through our cars, expresses that. And I don't know if you ever sitting in the new Kicks. It is one of the most modern interiors I've ever seen in a production car. It's almost a show car level.
I saw your video. I really need to do a test drive because I saw you presenting and all the panel, the phones, the sound. Amazing.
Yes, and it's everything. It's a very holistic expression of our brand values. We have this we call it the panel, the instrument panel. That's kind of our UX, UI, human interface system.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting because the way you use that area really connects to, again, going back to omotenashi. How can we bring that experience of user experience, right?
Okay.
User interface, to go beyond the expectation. The color materials and the finish is the same thing. We've combined materials that you can see in your own house, with using a melange, which is a unique fabric that you find in some modern furnitures. And we brought that into the car because we felt that there should be no separation between your home and your car. Your car is
an extension
of your home, your lifestyle. And by breaking down those walls of separation, then you can create this kind of experience, this omotenashi experience. Yeah. So design does play an important role in delivering the brand values of a company.
Perfect.
For sure.
Perfect. I think I'm going to Nissan and buy the new Nissan just right after we finish here.
That?
Yeah.
Rodrigo's gonna buy a new Nissan. I'm gonna hold him to that.
There's no way I'm buying another car. And so, yeah, amazing. Just mind blowing because you have the values of the company and then you work with it in the cars. So
Yes.
every car, of course, you use maybe not all of them, but in a different ways you put in the design, and then the customers, they don't know about that, but they feeling, they can experience the values of the company through the product.
Yes, like the third pillar, innovation, could be very simple. The way we design the seats, engineer the seats, it's called zero gravity. I still don't know the science behind it, but I must trust when they say that these seats are the most comfortable seats, and I completely agree. I've driven an older Kicks from São Paulo to Cuiabá, which is 1,000 kilometers.
It's a long trip.
And I was driving with my parents-in-law and my wife, right? So imagine driving 1,000 kilometers to Cuiabá. And I have never felt so comfortable sitting in a car for such a long time. It is total 15 hours to get here from São Paulo to Cuiabá. Of course, we took breaks. But even like 6 hours drive.
It was fine.
It was fine. Like when I go from São Paulo to, say, to Rio de Janeiro, it's almost 6 hours too.
Yeah.
And I love driving. I love driving more than flying. I know that flying is more convenient. But for me, the zero gravity seats of Nissan cars makes me want to drive, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's going back to the pillars, right?
Amazing.
So yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
And thinking about our society. Right now, 2025.
Yes.
2025. What does design reveal about our society right now? What you're seeing all around the world and through your eyes?
Yes. Design is also like a lens, right? So when you see a product or you see architecture or you see fashion, design allows the designer to observe cultural evolution, also environmental evolution, and technological evolution. I think these three areas are very important for any creative person, designer, artist to consider. And when you see cars driving by themselves, parking by themselves, it just shows you how design, and I would say engineering as well, has completely evolved so quickly in the last 10 years. I say 10 years. It's like an exponential jump of innovation. And I believe that when we see a product or a car, anything, architecture, fashion, you're seeing an interpretation of that moment. I'll give you another good example. Remember, I don't know if you know so much about American cars.
Not that much, but you can.
There was a period where they put rocket fins on the back of cars because at the time there was the space race, right?
Yeah.
Between, big countries. And the designers use that kind of, I would say, cultural transformation where we're going into space, and they were inspired and designed these beautiful cars with rocket fins on there. It's very quite funny, right?
It's a good example.
Good example. Yeah. Another example is now you see EV cars, electric vehicles, or hybrid, and now you see a different interpretation of the grille, where the grill doesn't necessarily have to have function anymore because you don't have a motor. you still need air to cool the batteries. But then the evolution of the grill has changed to be more of a brand armor, or shield.
Yep.
So when designers are designing this area of the car, they're thinking, what am I trying to express of the brand? So a lot of designers are influenced by the shield, the coat of arms, and so they design a particular shape that will reflect the brand. And again, going back to your question, design, if you look at cars, there's always going to be a purpose, a reflection of what's happening at that time, And here we're in 2025, we're going through such, I don't know, evolution or revolution, I don't know how to explain it, but we're definitely going through a paradigm shift where, electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, even hydrogen cars are being developed, When I was a little kid, those were just like science fiction. AI was science fiction. I would say 10 years ago, it was still considered science fiction by the public. But now with AI, it's completely now part of our reality, right? And designing products that use AI, I believe reflects the cultural changes, right? The result of EV is because of our environmental changes. I mean, 20 years ago, we were discussing we need to have a sustainable solution for our mobility.
Yeah.
Right? So then you start to see EV being developed, right? Electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. So it is those vehicles, those products are definitely the result of what we're going through as society, right? Culturally as well. And innovation. There's a period in development where there's no innovation, right?
Yep.
But then there's something happens that wakes people up, wakes everybody up. We need something to improve our life. And I think after the pandemic is when you see the explosion of all these innovation. It's like everywhere. New things are being developed. And I think we're living in really amazing times. I really believe so. I mean, you think about the way we communicate with each other. I don't know about you, but having a cellular phone before was considered a luxury, premium, right?
15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. There was no such thing. Well, I would say maybe more than that, 20, maybe 30 years ago.
30, yeah.
No one had a cellular phone.
That's true.
But now it's just part of everyday life. It's everything in your hand, your life, your lifestyle, your interaction with your friends, your family, your business, everything is through this little device. And that little device is the result of cultural influences, innovation
and
influences.
The design of Steve Jobs, of iPhone, changed the whole world, man. Not only
the story, right? You know the story, what happened, right?
Yeah.
I'll explain if those who doesn't know the story. I believe Steve Jobs was getting a tour of IBM. It was many, many years ago. That's a different story. Let me go to the phone first. The phone is, I would say before the iPhone, the first generation appeared, the most popular phone was the BlackBerry, right?
Yeah,
BlackBerry.
Yeah, the BlackBerry.
Yeah, BlackBerry, and everybody had it.
All the executives.
Everybody had it. Everybody's texting on their phone, and Steve Jobs felt that this interface was already outdated, and he had a much bigger vision, right? So he felt that wouldn't it be better to have a screen where you can just touch your finger intuitively, right? Because when you're typing, normally you type on a computer and your hands are like this, but then you're using a little phone and your thumb. So your body is now trained to use your thumb to interact with the device. But Steve Jobs said maybe that's not intuitive. The intuitive is how we use our hand to express ourselves, and when we touch or when we slide our hand along the glass. So he felt that the touch display panel is the best solution, because if you have a new function, or say a new app or anything like this, you don't need to have a redesign with a physical button, right?
Yeah.
So I think once the first gen iPhone hit the market, it completely disrupted the industry, a disruptor. And slowly BlackBerry sales starts to drop. Because
Nokia as well.
Nokia, I mean, as users, of course, they're going to choose the one that brings better experience, right? Intuitive experience in using the product, especially with the smartphone.
Yeah, that's a very nice, important example of how design shaped.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the IBM story, we wanted to talk about the mouse. The art.
Oh, yeah, the mouse, yeah.
That technology was brought to the market because Steve Jobs believed that interface would change the way we interact with our computers, right? And so he took that idea and developed the mouse, and now it's part of our everyday use when we are using the mouse. Of course, we have the tablet, we have the little touch thing.
Yeah.
But still, we are using the mouse to interface.
Yeah.
So very innovative.
Nice. And looking for the future. So with AI, how do you think design will develop? Because in my mind, we have two ways. Or we are going to be more creative because the computer is doing all the bureaucracy and all the stuff that we don't want to do, or everything will be the same because we have the same instructions, or we have the same tools. Where do you think we're going?
Well, definitely AI is part of our life now. We can't deny it. It's not only in design, but it's every aspect of our life. Maybe you're talking to a person on the phone for a service, but maybe that person is not a person. It's an AI agent, right?
Yeah.
I really believe AI is a tool, in a sense, for design. Before I got into car design, I loved art. I loved painting and drawing with pencil and paper. And when I started design school, we were taught how to master the tools of art, like markers, chalk, paper. And when you master this, it becomes part of you. So drawing is a very intuitive thing. But when you're able to master is where you can draw or design in things that are in your imagination.
Yeah.
That's really an incredible process. And so AI comes along a few years ago, and I love experimenting. And so I started to train myself using some AI platforms. And I started to realize, my gosh, what it has allowed me was to be more creative.
Nice.
Right? And how does it allow me to be more creative? As designers, we try to inspire ourselves. So we would look at magazines and we'll photocopy or we'll cut, we'll put image board, as designers.
The mood boards.
Mood board, right?
Yeah.
And we get inspired and we try to, emulate some shapes, colors, and form. And AI has allowed us to do that in the digital world. And what I realize is that you can use creativity, even the work you've done in the past, and you can combine those ideas together, and it's your ideas, right? And put them together, and you create something completely new, and sometimes something completely better than what you had thought previously. And so I started to realize that AI allows me not to be only a designer, but to become a curator of my designs.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
So as a designer, when I use AI, I feel like I'm using 10 interns, John Sahs intern. They're all me.
Yeah.
And they're working very hard to produce the result that I'm looking for. And you are filled with not just one idea, you're filled with maybe 10 ideas. And then you can choose and pick what you like the most and combine them again and get something even better. So for me, that's the process in which I've learned how to use AI. And AI has allowed us to have more time for creativity. Because making one drawing can take you up to between 1 hour to 8 hours. One drawing, one design. Because as designers, we want to make it perfect. So we want to be able to show it in a way where we can win the hearts of our clients or our bosses. And we spend so much time drawing. But AI has allowed us to not worry about that stuff, but more concentrate on design itself. So it is a partnership, I believe. And I think, it's always by our side. That's how I feel with AI.
Yeah.
So, and I'd said in the past that AI is a tool of liberation for designers. So I think any designers or creative people out there, just go for it. Try it. Don't be afraid of it. But definitely give it a try, because you might discover something very interesting. And I think every designer is very different in using AI. And I think that kind of connection or relationship with technology is definitely going to grow even more.
Amazing. And in the end, it's about our background, about our know-how, and where we are going, or which movie we are watching, everything that we knew or we start looking for, and we can use AI with our extension.
And also, it breaks barriers. I try to explain that. It breaks barriers. As a designer, you're considered just a designer to think about the shape, right? The form, the color.
Yep.
But I always felt as a designer, I'm also the guy who wants to create the story. How am I going to sell this design to the customer or to my boss or to my peers? So AI has allowed me to be able to create animation. So you not only see the car itself, you see the car in the environment.
Yeah.
You see the interior with all of its colors and materials and the person sitting in the car. So it's almost given this liberation, that as a designer, I'm now thinking not only as a designer, but as a communicator, as a marketing person, as a communication person. And then I always like to tell my designers, how would you sell your designs? How would you express your designs? And I think if you use AI, it's going to help you even more to tell the story. And for me, every great design has a great story behind it. Yeah. And AI has allowed that for us creative people. Yeah.
Perfect. And do you think every design has a great story, or knows how to tell a great story, but in addition, knows how to sell it? Because if I don't know how to sell this idea, I'm done.
Very good question. And again, it goes back to many years of working in the industry. As a young designer, you don't think about that, right? You don't think about how you're going to sell your design or tell a great story. You make a design, you make a presentation to your boss. So this shape, I want to make more tension because I want to show speed. You don't really talk about customers so much as that. But later on, as I mature as a designer, and I realize the inspiration I have for the designs become the script for selling the design, the storytelling, right? And in the end, I believe storytelling is very important for every creative people, artists, illustrator. When, of course, if you have really good work, great work, it will express itself. But at the same time, maybe you want to even share some stories that people don't know, stories that are more personal about how you create that design or the piece of art. And I think that's very important for anybody in the creative industry, to be able to tell a good story with impactful information, but also emotional, where it can connect with people, I think, right? So when you hear or see a very good advertising, it's because you're connected. The story behind it is a connection. There was like a Volkswagen commercial where they had a famous singer of the past. She was driving the old, Kombi.
Here in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
it was Elisa Regina, yes.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then they had her daughter driving the new Kombi, and wow, I was like impressed because the story was very human.
Yeah.
And I think whoever created that commercial really is a very good storyteller, Yeah.
Perfect. Nice. Amazing. And I'm just thinking about, okay, designing the state of art and how you create everything. But automotive design is full of technical constraints. I don't know, but I think it's not that easy to design a car or whatever you have to design there. So how have you managed to create a space for creative freedom? How does it work to use everything that you want to use with all the restrictions that you have?
Very good question. I believe we as designers or creatives, we are also the protector of design. We are the defender of design, meaning that we should do whatever it takes to bring your design into reality and as close as to your original thought and your original idea. In Japan, I had the opportunity to design a production car for the market, and it was called the Nissan Cube, and it was the third generation. The second generation Cube was a big hit, very successful, very, very successful. So when I was designing the third generation Cube, I had many challenges. How am I going to create a design that is going to be well loved by the customers as much as the second generation Cube? Because I couldn't just copy the second, right? Or it wouldn't be a new design.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. The second one is feasibility. How can I take my design and make it feasible into reality so that it goes into production and you can see it drive on the road, right? So that's a challenge. And the third one is the customer. How I'm going to connect with the customers with the design. And in the end, what I discovered through my experience is as much as I can, I need to defend the design, but at the same time, I need to have a very open mind. Because design is not stagnant. It's not, sitting. It's always evolving. And each time it evolves, it changes. And as much as you can as design, you're going to try as much as you can to find the balance between styling and function, between the form and function.
Yeah.
And in a way, I had to become an engineer as well. So some shapes you create are beautiful on the model, but you can't open the door. So it would not be a good design, right?
Yeah.
So then as a designer, you evolve that shape millimeter by millimeter so that you can meet the feasibility without losing the essence of your design. So that's how I've been handling all my career, is I always consider myself as the protector of the design. And even sometimes it's not my design. It may be somebody else's. So the original intent of the designer was this: okay, how can I nurture the design, protect the design so that that original design that was selected can go into production as is without major changes? And most of the time, when you do it really well, the design gets better than you originally had imagined. So the combination of feasibility, design development, understanding the customers really can evolve the design into a better product in the end result. So that's how I've handled a lot of projects in my past. How to be creative, even with all the restriction. And what I do is I also challenge the restriction, and you can.
Yeah.
And there's a phrase in English, rules are made to be broken.
Yeah.
Right? But I think rules are made to be evolved.
That's better. I was thinking about bend, but bend's not. Evolve, it's better.
Yes,
Yeah.
evolve is so. There are rules created for a particular situation, but as time progresses, the way we use our product evolves. So when it changes the usability, the rules will then change as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And about the new Nissan Kicks.
Okay.
How was the process of designing it?
The new Nissan Kicks was at first a global project, so all the studios were making proposals and stuff. Even my team here in Brazil, we were participating in the beginning. We call the advanced phase of the project. So there's many phases. There's the advanced phase where you really try to come up with amazing ideas and not thinking so much about restriction. And then there's the proposal phase where you go through the feasibility and then you propose an idea and that it has maybe 90% feasibility to go to the next stage. And so in the end, the Kicks design, the current one, the new one, was developed in Japan, right?
Yeah.
With a design that came from the San Diego studio in US.
How many studios there are?
There was, I believe, 5 or 6 studios back then, right? And the studio in San Diego the design was selected by San Diego. Then this design went to Japan where it goes through feasibility and stuff. So you had teams working on it. And there's some really unique story behind the design. One is that the frontal face and the muscular shapes were inspired by like the helmet of a football player. So it has this very kind of helmet look.
That's true.
There are some details on the side of the car, on the bottom. They would call it the side panel.
Yep.
And we have the lower bumper in the front and rear. It has these textures, these kind of unique textures, and those are influenced by tennis shoes. I don't know if you heard about the story, but those were influenced by tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So development of the Kicks is inspired by sport type of images, the helmet, the tennis shoes. So development of the new Cube has all those kind of inspiration that deal with something with more sportiness, more durability, and innovation as well. There's a lot of new innovation on that car as well.
Nice. Yeah. How many years it was the process of?
Typically, it takes about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, 3 years typically.
That's
but now it's even getting shorter, like down to almost a year and a half. So cutting the process.
Changed it a lot.
Yes, a lot. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. And looking your career, it's very long career, very nice career, and you were in positions of leadership, so leading teams. And how does a design perspective changes once you start leading teams? Because you're just doing your job, designing, working. Of course, you're working with some other people, but when you're leading teams, it changes everything. So what changed for you personally?
Personally, what changed for me is to be more, how can I say, to be more challenging without pressure, right? So when you're a young designer, your whole goal is to have your design selected into production to make it reality. And you go through the process of working with a team as a designer. So you understand there's a dynamic of the team, which is very important. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's always being able to inspire the team. Even when I'm working as a designer, how can I inspire the team through my designs? How can I push the team's creativity through my designs? So that's something you do as a young designer. And as you go later into, say, management, how do you still inspire the team and do really good work? And what I've discovered is I need to create a safe space for my designers. And what is that?
Perfect.
Create a space where you have open communication. There's none of this kind of hierarchy. I'm the boss, you're the employee. No, this is important to have a place where people can communicate and share their ideas without any fear, right? So that is very important, open communication. The second one that I discovered is called being borderless. Destroy any wall that exists in communication, in working dynamics. And what I've taught my designers is, if you have questions in regards to marketing or communication, reach out to marketing, reach out to communication. Understand from their perspective of the project, not just as a designer, but as a communicator, as a marketer. So being borderless is important. And the third one, which I really think is important, is dare to do what others don't. And this is something that I've learned through Nissan.
Be bold.
Be bold. When you're going to make an idea, be bold. Don't be afraid to fail. Because failure is definitely part of the learning process.
Yeah.
But it's better to be bold, and maybe it doesn't go through, but still you express yourself as much as you can. And then the fourth point is learning, to continuously learn about your trade. I'm still learning. I'm at my age. I won't say it on air, but
Still young.
I'm still young.
Yeah.
But continuously learning and growing.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Yeah. So that's the difference as being a designer and then later into management and then becoming an executive. Yes.
It's a huge difference. You're talking like I understand. That's what I try to do here as well. I love the answer. I don't know if you know Amy Edmondson. She wrote a book about psychological safety. Almost everything you said, it's in the book, and the communication that we can say it wide open and know that we can make mistakes, but we know that some mistakes we can't make. So you can be fired, but I'm going to try everything that I can.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's a very nice answer, and it's not that easy. It's not that easy to.
No, it's not easy. It's always hard. It's always challenging. And throughout my years of working as a manager and as a design director in a corporate world, these three important words always come to me. It's having empathy, having engagement, and having empowerment. When you have a team that feels empowered, you have a team, even a small team of 5 people, you can move mountains. You can make a big difference in a company.
Yeah.
If you have an empowered team. And I think that makes a big difference. So I have the 3 E's always, I'm thinking about empathy, engagement, and empowerment. These 3 E's, you can create a very strong team.
Nice. Very nice. Everyone, if you're listening and you're paying attention, because you need to pay attention, that's a very, very nice way to live and to work and to be a good leader. Yeah, that's amazing. And you talk a little bit about Japan, and why do you think Eastern culture understands about design that we from the West hasn't fully understood yet?
Yeah, that's definitely a hard question.
Yeah.
And I'm been thinking about that question. And since I've lived almost half of my life in Japan and half of my life in US and now part of my life in Brazil, what I've seen the difference, and I'm just speaking from my experience, is that in the Eastern culture, there seems to be, again, the word borderless comes to mind. There seems to be this kind of desire to have this connection with nature.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, every culture has a connection with nature. But like in Japan, especially with the older Japanese houses, you can open the walls
That's
to a
true.
beautiful garden, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily see that in any other culture. In other cultures, usually walls are there to have a certain separation between the interior and exterior.
Yeah.
But in Japan houses, they have sliding walls, shoji we call them. And what it allows is the ability to connect with nature seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a space that is kind of like a veranda,
Yeah.
a porch in English.
Yeah.
This is called engawa. And it is a location where you have the experience of both the interior and exterior. So you have both experiences. And I think this is one difference I see, say, in Eastern designs or philosophy or your way of life that's different from, say, the Western, is this desire to always be connected with nature 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And living in Brazil, it's very different, right? So you do have amazing places, beaches, mountains, amazing, beautiful. And then you have where you live, where it's very secluded, very, how can I say, separated. Unless you have a house on the beach, it's a very different story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But not everybody has a house on the beach. But still, I think the separation or the desire to have interaction with nature is a big difference between the two cultures. Yeah. Have you ever been in a Japanese
No,
house?
I really want to go and visit Japan.
Or even here in Brazil, I know there's some places where you can experience a traditional Japanese house. I would definitely go. And when you get that sense, when you're sitting in the engawa, there's this sense of connection with nature, with Zen. It's because it's a different experience.
That's true.
Different experience, yeah.
And you don't need to go to the nature to have that
No.
experience you can have at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah. Very nice. Let's talk about something else.
Sure.
Just talk a lot about design, cars, and Nissan. And I know you just changed your what you're going to do. So
Right.
what motivated you to imagine a cooler future? And what's the sense behind this new chapter?
Thank you. Very good question. This motivation actually started, I would say, a few years ago. Maybe when I was a young designer. I have this kind of entrepreneurial spirit part of me. I don't know where I got it, but I have it.
Yeah.
And as a designer in the corporate world, I always have these entrepreneurial ideas, right? And later in my career, as I get closer to the retirement phase of my career, I thought it would be nice to consider this option of starting my own design consultancy.
Yeah.
Right. And this year, actually in May, I had registered the company called Imagine a Cooler Future. Nothing, no contracts, no project, nothing, just register the company. Because I believe when you take physical action, there is a reaction, right?
Yeah.
And Imagine a Cooler Future was just an Instagram page name that I had where I would put my own kind of what I felt was designs that can
Your ideas and
right, that can create a cooler future. And in my perspective, my kind of lens, right? So when I registered the company, I was still with Nissan at the time.
Yep.
And I registered the company in May. And of course, I talked to the Nissan compliance team, legal team, say, I'm starting a new business. It's a mentorship business.
Yeah.
I would like to teach designers how to create their careers. And of course, I went through the legal team and they gave me the green zone. Yeah, as long as you don't use any of our materials, Nissan, you're good.
It's fine.
Because it's not designing anything. You're just giving a kind of service, educational service. Because when I started Imagine a Cooler Future, that was one part of the company's purpose was to educate, was to give an opportunity for young professionals young students, even mid professionals as well, the opportunity to design their careers. We never think about that as designers. Designing your career. Everybody think they know, how to do it.
That's powerful.
Right.
How to design your career.
How to design your career. And of course, I thought to myself, I have now 32 years experience in the corporate world. And I've gone through many, many challenges as an employee. Starting at the very bottom as a junior designer, right?
Yeah.
And working on projects, failing on projects. What do I do? Things like this. And then working my way up in the corporate ladder to a point where I became the design director here for the last 3 years. And I knew I had the different steps that I've experienced myself, and these steps had allowed me to progress in my career. And I've created a program called Kojo. And this is part of the Imagine a Cooler Future brand. And Kojo is my own personal journey and experience in which I want to share with professionals or even students. Not only car design, you can be in product, architecture, fashion, because I believe the creativity that we share is very similar to each other, the foundation. We want to create something for the better, for the good. So I created these 7 modules, my own experience, of how you can design your career and how you can achieve your goals later in life.
Yeah.
Right? And the first one I think is very important to, at least to know, is to understand your ikigai. Do you know what ikigai is?
I know what ikigai is, but it's good for you to explain to everyone.
Ikigai is a Japanese terminology, basically to know your purpose.
Yeah.
And once you know your purpose, then you can lay down the foundation, the process of reaching that purpose. And I discovered early on my purpose. When I say early, it's when I was 25.
That's early.
It's early, but I wish it was earlier. And when I found the purpose, it was almost a magical moment, because at that time, actually I was 22, and at the time I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I know I loved art, right? And I know I loved car, but I didn't put it together. And then one day I went to see the counselor and I said, I really don't know where I'm going to major later. And he goes, what do you like? And I said, I like art and I like cars. And he said, why don't you become a car designer? I said, wow, wait, car designer? What is that? It's like an engineer, because I hate mathematics. I'm not very good at mathematics. He goes, no, you are the person who's going to design the shapes, the form, the color, the materials. I said, that's a car designer? He said, yes. Do I need to have engineering background? No, you probably learn a little bit, but it's not the main focus of being a car designer.
Nice.
And so when he told me that, he showed me a catalog. It's a design college in Pasadena called Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. And when I was flipping through the pages, I came across the department Transportation Design. And I started to flip, and I see these beautiful futuristic shapes of some vehicle. And the word shape the future came to mind. And it's always been resonating with me ever since. Shape the future. And going back, Kojo is a platform where you can shape your career. And by giving you these 7 different modules where you can learn, one, you can learn about creating your creative DNA. What is your creative DNA, for example? One is talking about your portfolio. How can you create a portfolio that is clear, that is confident, that it shows you yourself as a brand? We don't think about this as students or professionals. When we're creating a portfolio, we're just hoping that the companies will like it and we get a job. But in fact, when we create a portfolio, we are creating our own brand image. And so when you can connect with a company, that means that you have something that that company wants. Not only your creativity, your persona. I want this person on my team. He's not only creative, he's very interesting. You know, he likes doing jujitsu, for example. He put jujitsu.
Go surfing, yeah.
Go surfing, because these other aspect of what you do as a creative person can also filtrate into your profession. And so my module goes through different steps of this, and I really believe that it will bring more focus for the person, for the professional, for the artist, for the students, and to strategically plan your own career, right?
Nice.
And have full control of it.
And it takes 6 months, a year. Is it individual? How does it work, the program?
Right. Well, the program has 3 different areas. One is called the core, which is completely online. And I have like 7 videos discussing each of the 7 modules.
Perfect.
You can go your own pace. There's some other benefits as well. And then there's the pro, which you get the same as the core. But then we have more, almost a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And also we have groups, sessions through WhatsApp, or maybe it's Discord. And then we have the VIP, where it's really, a very personal relationship in developing your career. And each core has their own phases. I don't go into the details now because I'm still working out those details. But basically, those are the 3 different ways in which you can experience Kojo. Yes.
Nice. I think I'll tell the guys here, the designers, they should go and work with you and do this mentoring program.
Oh, by all means.
Yeah.
By all means.
It should be...
I'm not a special person. I'm just a person who found his purpose. And the thing is, my purpose is always evolving, because first it was about shaping the future.
Yeah.
Now it's about shaping the creative, helping them shape their future. Because I believe that when you have a really good mentor, that mentor has such a timeless impact in your life. I had few mentors that really inspired me and really helped me to be able to enjoy what I do. Even now, 32 years later in the business, I love waking up in the morning. I love being inspired. I love working with creative people. And I'm continuing to do so with a lot of passion. And Kojo is one of those passions that I have. And of course, the design consultancy is the other part as well.
Yeah.
And I believe with Imagine a Cooler Future, it becomes not just a name, but it becomes kind of a way of thinking, right? Yeah. Everything we want to create a cooler future. I don't know. It just makes it so clear, right?
Yeah. It's very cool.
It's very cool, and very clear, right to the point.
Yeah. So, that's very nice. And John, I think it's my last question for us today.
Okay.
I want to know, what was the most important event for you? What touched you there, and what changed it for your life?
Important event.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I have so many. What is? Let me go from the beginning. The most important event that affected my whole career, my whole life.
Yeah.
Not only in my career, but as my personal life. As I was graduating Arts Center, it was a speaker, and he was an executive of an ad agency. I wish I remember his name, but it was the most inspiring speech I ever had. And he says, "Do you want to be successful in what you do?" And he said, you can apply these 3 rules and be successful in anything you want. Like, even if you want to be an executive or you want to work in a fast food restaurant, you apply these 3 rules, and I guarantee you're going to be success. So I'm like, eagerly waiting, because I want to know what this is. The first one is creativity is 90% sweat and 10% creative.
Yeah.
Meaning you have to work hard. You have to work hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. And I'm sure you probably know how to be working hard, right?
Really hard, yeah.
The second rule is you need to always do good work. never go below good. If you do best, better, amazing, fantastic. But always keep your work at good if you can. Maintain that. And the third, the most important rule of all, is you never, ever give up. And my whole life, growing up as a little kid in California, to a young man working in Japan, to an older, mature person here now in Brazil, that third rule have really, really helped me a lot, is to never, ever give up.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, and I can add something to the third one.
Please.
It's a mentor for us. I participate in an entrepreneur club that we say here in Brazil. And Flávio Augusto is one of the owners. He's the owner of WhatsApp. He's a big entrepreneur. And he says, if you're tired, don't give up. Just get some rest. Just take a break.
One.
Yeah, take a break. And then you can think again. But yeah, that's it. So
I would like to meet him one day.
yeah. He's very, very clever. Yeah.
I think he's added to the third rule.
Yeah, that's amazing. Never give up. And if you feel about quitting, first get some rest.
Oh, I love that.
And then you can make your decision.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Having a time of clarity, spending your own time to think about, about this third part. I think this is a very important part as well. Yes. Oh, very true.
Nice.
Verdade.
John.
Rodrigo.
It was amazing. I feel very honored to have you here and very inspired about everything you said. And I'm pretty sure everyone that's listening to us is like, okay, I think I'm going to buy a new Nissan Kicks.
Or join Kojo.
Yeah, or and
join
Kojo. So thank you very much. Tell everyone where we can find you, your Instagram and or LinkedIn.
Yes, on Instagram, just type Imagine a Cooler Future. You can find me there. And on Instagram, it's just my name, John Sahs, S-A-H-S.
Yeah.
S-A-H-S, something like this. Right?
Yeah.
With my accent, my setaku. But thank you very much, Rodrigo. It's been a pleasure giving me this opportunity to share about design and how it is a way of life and a way of thinking. And it's a pleasure to also meet you in person, And I know we share some commonalities. Maybe one day we go surfing.
Oh, of course we will.
Surfer, but maybe we can do some surfing.
Yes, we're going to do. Yeah.
But nice. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado. It was such a... Foi bom.
Nice.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much. And everyone that's listening to us, if you can subscribe on the YouTube and follow us on Spotify and send to your family, your friends, and everyone you work. So that would be very important for us and for everyone that's going to listen to this. And right now I'm going to change for Portuguese to end this podcast. So, obrigado a todos. Espero que tenham gostado desse episódio tanto quanto eu gostei. Então, assim, estar aqui com o John conversando sobre design é altamente inspirador. Então, se o seu inglês está um pouquinho fraco, presta atenção, estuda de novo, faz ali a tradução, vê as legendas, que vale a pena demais esse episódio. E não escutar só uma vez, algumas vezes, para absorver um pouco mais do que foi dito aqui. E relembrando, sigam aí a nossa página, se inscreve no canal, manda pra galera, que nos ajuda aqui a divulgar e difundir um pouco mais o que a gente vem fazendo e educando o mercado, ajudando as pessoas a se prepararem mais, a estarem mais prontas para qualquer discussão que seja. E é isso. Então, agradeço a participação de todos e até o próximo episódio.